Do you feel like your guitar solos are a little stale, a little robotic, right? A little flat? Let's add some life to them by bringing some volume dynamic into your solos. We're going to add this in a whole bunch of different layers. I love this lesson. If you don't know, my name is Ryan Gahn. I've been helping guitar players for over 20 years really bridge the gap between their creative ideas and what they're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent. If you would, please hit the subscribe and bell notification to get more videos on how to make your guitar playing better. Now, to start in a little bit more of a beginner phase, when we grab the guitar and we start playing, we're sort of coming in at like a level 7. So, like picking volume-wise. The reason is this feels like nothing to a beginner guitar player. I always thought if I were able to like take the brain out of one of my beginner students, put it in my head and play the guitar, they would be shocked at how little I'm playing, right? And there's not that much sensory feedback if we're just doing this. It's hard to do. You grab a guitar, right, you're squeezing here, like almost like handlebars or like a hammer or something, because that's the way we normally would, right? Wouldn't really hold it in this particular way, right? We want a little bit more security, and we're picking loud because it's giving us a little bit of that sensory feedback. So that's where this starts. So a great thing to do is just play your exercises, your warm-ups, whatever, just really lightly. Just to get really used to playing down in this 1 to 2 range. Now, even if I want to play louder like that, if I'm able to play at that 1 or 2 level, I can build from there, right? Which means I'm not getting tired. It's almost like waking up in the morning and going outside and just running as fast as you can. Your legs get tired for the rest of the day, right? They feel a little shaky. If we train and stay right here and warm up a little bit, right, we can bring that back, especially if we want to play fast. We're going to need to do that, right? That's where our speed really comes in, that lower volume level. So when we get used to that, fantastic, right? And there are a bunch of different levels of adding this dynamic into our solos so that we're not just staying okay, I mean, bad? No, but dynamically, nothing, right? There's nothing there. So we get really used to that. There's a really great example of this from a loud player, Stevie Ray Vaughan, where he does Tin Pan Alley, you know, and I can't remember what key it's in, or I'm not going to play the exact lick, but, you know, he's playing right that lightly. It's almost not even there. It's almost not audible, right? Which is a really, really cool delivery method. We don't have to do that. We can move in and out, and it doesn't have to be 10 to 0 either. Within one phrase or one part of a solo, if I have okay, cool, but right, even that one note, right, is going to give me way more life to my solos. So let's practice this. If we are going to do super light, that's going to be the first. And we should be doing that anyway, right? We should be playing and doing our warm-up super, super light. Another exercise to help is too loud, too soft. Right? And exaggerate as much as you possibly can, okay? That's just going to get those muscles to train and be able to move in and out of that really quickly, which is what we're definitely looking for. So when we're making more deliberate changes now, right, in what we want to say, we can think of the intensity. Now, this is where it starts to get a little tricky when we're talking about, not doing it in that Tin Pan Alley Stevie Ray Vaughan kind of way where, like, the whole phrase was really light. That's really cool, though, because he gets really down there and throws a couple of those in. Really, really cool way to spike it. If we're sort of playing in a little bit more of a middle ground, right? A little bit more of a 3 to 6, 3 to 7, kind of area, that loud is going to be more intense, not just because the volume is louder, right? But we're picking it in a way that is more intense. So if we're talking about phrases, let's say we're talking about, a tension phrase and then a release. So if I have something in minor, right, ending on that flat 3 is my tension, and then a follow-up phrase ending on my root note is going to be my resolution. Hopefully you know a good amount about phrasing. I'll put a lesson in the description that talks a little bit more about that if you need help. But what we don't need to be stuck in is, okay, this is a tense line, right? So, cool. And then resolve it. I can bring it down if I want to, right? Keep it both tense, keep it both light. We don't have to think of it that way. This is where we get really linguistic, which is like my favorite way of teaching. And that's, as long as I'm making the choice deliberate, it's the correct choice, right? And as long as I'm able to continue what it is that I'm saying. So if I think of it like movie dialogue, right? If there's a line in the movie that's, "What's wrong with you?" If I say, "What's wrong with you?" Right? It's got a little bit of that to it. But that doesn't have to be how I ask that. And even if I play it quietly or say it like, "What's wrong with you?" Right? It's still intense, right? Quieter. It doesn't take the intensity away if the intention is there to make that intense. Or maybe you do want to lighten it up, right? For whatever reason. When you make it intentional, it's never wrong. And I think that this is where we get confused, where we're thinking like, oh, I'm only going to push the volume and the dynamic up if I want to create this super tense. Well, when do I do it? Oh my gosh, do I do it on a tension phrase? Will I end my entire solo there? How do I make this happen? As long as the decision is made intentionally and you can move from it. So what I mean by that is, cool, fine. Those two phrases were very intentional. The intensity and the dynamic. So think about that and mess around with certain phrases. And don't always think, I think when we're jumping into a solo, that 7 is your bass line, right? 4 might be your entire bass line for a solo. It gives you a lot of headroom to move up to that 7 or 8 to build intensity, but you're mostly at 4. Maybe you are mostly at a 7 or 8, and you want to bring a couple of those lines down, and then maybe go up to a 10 for a little bit. We have these options, and if we're making those choices intentionally and we're playing off of the scene, right, or what's happening, the rhythm section, the song, then the choices aren't going to be wrong. That's the way that I look at, or think of like dialogue, in a movie is like, if I say it quietly, it's not wrong if it fits within the movie. So that's how I would like you to think of it. It's going to bring more life into your solos. Whatever it is that you're practicing, if you put on a backing track and just try it and exaggerate it, right? Make it silly. Go all the way up to 10 and all the way down to 0 and keep doing it. When you get really used to it, that's how we know when we want to make those choices. There's another really cool way that I want to put in just the end of this video to use this. And if we can really control the muscles, right, in our hand, in our picking hand, right, and if I can do something like light down, heavy up, right, or this one never really works out for me as well, but heavy down, light up, I always get a hammer on there, right, I always end up getting a hammer on, especially if I have a little bit of overdrive. Try those exercises. We're moving in and out of that dynamic range very quickly. This is where it happens. If you have something that's got a little bit more of a groove to it, and cool, that works, right? Nothing wrong with that. But if I can put a little bit of this bounce in there, right? It's going to give it a little bit of life, okay? What's happening there? is now taking this sort of volume dynamic and this jumping in and out. It's almost if you were to put a metronome on and practice some interesting rhythms. We're doing that same idea, but we're doing it with accents. So if you listen, those accents aren't predictable. It's not, or something like that. It's not going to give you that much of a groove, because that would be like if I had my metronome 2, 3, 4, and I just did 1, 2, 3, right? It's where it's interesting. It's accenting on a weak beat. That's really where it comes in. That's where that sort of swing feel is going to come in. That's another really great way to use it. So there's a lot to do here in really just understanding and listening to solos that you like. Are they doing it? Are they staying within just one dynamic range? Usually not. So we could start adapting to that. This is all about building emotion and releasing emotion and getting an emotional response. That's what music is. Music is a language. So this is just another dimension to help you do that. Now, if you do feel stuck in that really boring, robotic guitar solo plateau that we all get stuck into, if you really want to bridge the gap between your creative ideas and what you're able to play, becoming fully fretboard fluent, I have a couple of resources. There is a free training in the description, 3 steps to full fretboard fluency. You're more than welcome to check that out. It is absolutely free. And if you do feel ready to join our fretboard fluency mentorship program, there is a link in the description as well to book a free consultation call to see if we are the right fit for you. Thank you very much for watching until the end, and I will see you in the next video.